like Jonathan and I have a thing where we're both like, I'm like, this GPS tag, and Jonathan's like, I need more information. So I'm like, cool beans, perfect opportunity that we have this local branch that has an amazing social media presence that works hard for the community and has a really good business model that's really impressive. So I thought it'd be really cool for you to kind of talk to us. And then also we have 9 people on Zoom.
Okay, wow, that's like the nicest introduction ever. And I'm so sad that James could not be here. He's the handsomer version of me and the muscle behind the operation. And he is just super excellent, but he actually had to run to the valley today. And we were both, I think I was more disappointed than him because he's more people shy than I am. I am the people lover of our relationship. I'll be honest, I'm here and I'm not really sure. I'm just going to go with the flow and answer questions or whatever. I understand you want me to talk about the ear tags first and then kind of about our cattle operation. Am I understanding that right? Okay.
Whatever order you want.
Oh, so much free reign. Okay, so I'm going to pass around 2 of my ear tags for you guys to just take a look at it. Hopefully none of you are like grossed out by animal filth because I think one of them has blood on it because it was a highway casualty, not highway, but like one of our road casualties. So sorry if you're super gross, just like spread it along. Okay, so these are the GPS ear tags. I'll demonstrate how to use them in a minute. But just a little bit how we got started with it. We didn't even know that this technology existed, but we knew that wolves were being tracked by GPS. We knew that there were some kind of tracking devices for other livestock, whatever. And we got to thinking, surely there has to be a way to do this. So when we actually, so both of us come from ranching backgrounds, ranching cowboy backgrounds, but we're first generation owning our own cattle ranch, and we are quite young, and I understand that, and that has actually been an interesting challenge, because we're kind of the young whippersnappers that are just up and coming and whatever. But we managed other people's ranches for 8 years before we finally saved up enough money, and by the grace of God, to buy our own little cattle ranch. So we ranch outside of Show Low in the White Mountain Lakes area. We currently run about 130 head, with our new heifers being held back this year. And that was a real stretch considering the drought last year. We barely made it. So we lease 20,000 acres from the government, from BLM, mostly state land department. And so that allots us 200, but as you know, ranches right now can't hold that, which is really sad. We would love to have more cows. So anyways, I'm going to back up. So when we first bought the ranch, well, actually it was before we even bought the ranch and the cattle and stuff like that, we started researching this, and we had researched it for a couple of years, and we discovered that there actually were a couple of companies that offered GPS trackers for their cattle. Because when we were managing for another rancher, his cows were everywhere and it was a train wreck, and actually he was a terrible rancher, and we ended up leaving that operation just because we didn't want our reputations to be with him. Does anyone know people like that? So we ended up leaving, and then again, it just fell into our laps. It was a God thing for us to be able to buy this this lease. And so then we really hit that research hard, and I reached out to every company that I could find that offered this GPS tracking technology, and we were very limited on how many people we could reach out, how many people we had found, how many companies we had found. I'm so excited. I'm like trembling over my words. And only one reached back to us, and they're an outfit out of Australia, and they have a guy from, I think, the Netherlands working for them. So we were like, wow, that's interesting, but they sounded promising and we were interested, and this is something that we just felt good about moving forward. So we scraped up the last of our savings and we decided to invest in it. So what you just passed around are GPS cattle tags. Let's see, let me show you on my phone how they work, and then I'll discuss the pros and cons. How does that sound? Does that sound like a good plan? Okay, so here's how it works. So I have an app on my phone. The name of the company is Movement, MOOV, very cute. I know, very. So here's the app on my phone. I know, very clever. So you can see it's like a little, yep, that's not going to help you at all. It's like a little silhouette of a cow with a heart. So there's the app right there. That's what it looks like. And I'm going to open it for you so you can see how it actually tracks my cows. Oh, let there be more. Thank you. Okay.
Did we lose the thing? Or is it turned off?
That's turned off.
Okay.
All right. And now what you are looking at are my cows. Aren't they cute? Oh, can you see anything? Okay, so there are, do you see how there are some pink dots and some blue dots? So in their forward thinking way, the pink are female cows and the blue are bulls.
Oh, wow.
Aren't they cute? Cute little dots. Okay, so as soon as I tap on my app, this is the first thing that pulls up, okay? Now, when I type on list view, it actually shows me right now, we do not have our heifers tagged and we're also missing, there's a lot of reasons, but we don't have all of our cattle tagged right now. So it only shows me that I have 73 cows assigned, okay? So I'm gonna pass it around again and you're gonna see that 103 was last seen 3 hours ago. So it actually pings, the GPS actually pings these animals. It's supposed to ping them every couple of minutes, but one of the cons that we struggle with out here is the accessibility to any kind of internet and satellite and everything like that. So, but it does tell me that 103 was seen 3 hours ago. So she was pinged 3 hours ago. Hi, son. What's up, son? Did it die? Okay, I just need you guys to sit there and play some war or something, but be quiet and respectful, okay? They got food in here. So a little bit about my family, who are my pride and joy. My youngest, he is 7, and he is, oh, I just love him, is just the cutest. Our eldest is a 12-year-old girl. And if you put her up against any cowboys, probably that you know, she can hold her own. She is quite a cowboy. My 10-year-old is more, she's more with me. She's more on the ground. She's more with people. She's more interested in things that aren't, you know, on a horse or a cow. And then there's my boy. So that's our little family. But I lost my train of thought because I wanted to talk about my family.
Connectivity.
Thank you. So one of the things that we struggle with is connectivity. So ideally, I would be seeing each of my cattle ping. I think they said every 40 an hour to an hour and a half, ideally. But that essentially never happens. So when I see my cattle being pinged 4 hours ago, 3 hours ago, that's pretty cool. Okay, so I'm gonna use cow 103 as an example. So I'm gonna tap on her, and there's a couple of things I want to show you. So she is tag number 103, and I have here in my notes. So you can actually see the paddock she's assigned to, but we actually never got that far for reasons I don't have energy to discuss. She's a cow and not a bull. I can actually see what year she was born. And she came from Utah, and she's a Baldy. So I know that she's a red Utah Baldy. Okay. I can also say anything else on the notes that I want, that she's, I don't know, whatever, anything else on the notes that I want. I didn't tag her year born because when we bought and we're such a young ranch, we have only been living here ranching for not even 2.5 years. So we're very young. We're still figuring this out. And our original cattle we bought as a small herd from Utah. We didn't even know when they were born. So I don't have her birth year there, but I can make those notes. And when I zoom into her GPS, you can actually see where she was pinged, and how long ago she was pinged. So this right here is not a traveler. Do you see that she just kind of has stayed in her area for the last 19 hours was her earliest ping. So it actually will show you the last whatever that she's been doing. Not cool. So that's how that works. So I'm actually going to show you how easy it is to add an animal. So up here in my app, there's an add, it's like a plus sign and a cow. Again, very clever. So you just tap on that. So when I have my herd of cattle and I have them in a chute, so I'll trap her head in the chute, and then I have my GPS tag and it has a QR code. Okay, just a little tiny QR code. So on my app, I can click scan code. That says scan code, and I'm going to tap on that, and it gives me an option to scan my QR code. So I'm going to scan that QR code. It comes up with a movement ID immediately. So this is the ID of my movement tag. Okay. So then what I'll do is so it says visual ID, but that's where I put my tag number. So I'm going to say this is tag number 209 or whatever. So I would type 209. And then I could put her year of birth. I would put her as a cow or a bull or whatever. And then I just click done, and then I've added that animal to my herd. Super simple, super fast, super easy. And then from then on, you can track her. Also, I'm sure you already noticed, but these are solar powered, so they do not run out of batteries. So we put them on the back of our cows' ears, and they flap their ears around in sun, and Arizona has such a beautiful sunshine. Okay. Anyways, they're solar powered. So moving into the pros and cons that we have found, the pros are what I just showed you on my app. Isn't that cool that I can actually look at my cows, see where they are? You can kind of what was your name? Jocelyn. So pretty. I should be able to remember that. So kind of like how Jocelyn was saying, you can actually create a paddock. And anytime that cow wanders out of that area that you want them, or if they jump the fence that the elk knocked down, so fun. Arizona elk, love them so much. Please kill them if you get the chance. So if they wander out or whatever, or if they're stolen or I don't know, whatever, it will actually alert you. You get an alert saying, oh, this cow is out of the pasture that you assigned onto your phone. So that's a pro. That's very cool. You can see where your cows are and your bulls and everything like that. The bulls are interesting because bulls can be funny loners, and they'll hang out in the corner and not do their job, or they can really, really hustle. So you can also kind of see which bulls have a tendency to hang around in the corner or with each other. What's with that? Like, do they not understand how that they just have this bromance going on instead of hustling? So you can see the bulls that are around the cows, and you can see the bulls that just have a bromance going on in the corner, So that's really helpful. Cons are kind of some of the same things that Jocelyn was talking about. This technology is so new that when we ordered it 2.5 years ago, this goes back on the pros. The company is amazing. Now we're on the other sides of the world, and so our person that we're working with would stay up super, super late at night so that we could have a phone call super, super early in the morning. Like, I love these guys. By the way, if you reach out to them for whatever reason and ask questions or want to do this on your farm or ranch, or anybody that you know, please tell them that we sent you. It would mean the world to them to know that we are referring them, because they are a small company. They're trying to get the word out. We are actually the second in the entire United States who are using their technology, and they're very excited about that because there's not very many of us using this technology at all, and only the second of their company. Anyway, so that is a pro. A con was when we bought it 2.5 years ago, because it was such new technology and they were still trying to perfect the tracker tags. Some of them went bad very quickly, but the company sent us free of charge the replacement. So they can actually see if the reason that the tag is not working is because it's a defective tag. They can see that on their end. And when they found that it was detected, they would send us over replacement immediately. So that was really, really nice. Connectivity has been a challenge. We have an antenna at one of our corrals, and that was the only place on the whole ranch that we could put it where it had just enough signal, and it's also solar powered. But it had just enough signal to be able to reach the cows. But we found that we had to put it on that side of the ranch. And then when we moved the cattle into a different pasture on the other side of the ranch, we had to move. It was solar panels, so it wasn't that big of a deal, but just the hassle of moving it to the other side of the ranch because the range is only so far. It's a good range, but not 20,000 acres range, right? So I think that kind of covered everything that I was thinking if I were sitting in your shoes that I would want to know about. So I just wanted to open up for questions as far as the trackers and my experience, because I can only share with you my experience.
So one question online is how much did the tax cost?
Okay, good question. So when we initially bought them, they were I want to say $5 a tag, and then the equipment, the antenna and the equipment and the software was a different price initially. So we initially bought 100 tags and we paid $2,800. I don't know if that's changed. We're still working with the original tags, the original everything. So
So I don't have any other questions right now online, but is this something you would do again, and do you recommend it, or do you would like invitation or fully, or what would you say?
that's such a good question. And I feel like we could go either way, because on one end it has been enormously helpful, but on the other end it's been enormously frustrating. I'm sure you can say the same thing for what you're discovering with your callers. So we're kind of like, but our personality is we love innovation. We love efficiency. We love innovation. I mean, I'm on social media, for heaven's sake, and I don't like social media, but I'm there because I find that it's very important to get the word out, to do what so that people understand what agriculture is. And so just our personalities and knowing our personalities, I would say we probably would do it again, because these tags represent what we're moving into. Does that make sense? We're moving into new technology. We're moving into an era where it's a work harder, or a work smarter, not harder kind of attitude. And that's the kind of attitude that we want to take for it. I don't feel like we did anything wrong. It was just, and we knew, and they warned us that it was such new technology that there would be frustrations, that they would work very closely with us, because we also understood that we were experimenting right along with them. The only thing I wish that could be different would be the connectivity. That has been our biggest frustration with them.
So how do you think the tags make you work smarter, not harder?
Oh, good. So you can actually, so he has found a handful of cattle who have disappeared, and somebody will be like, I think I saw your cow walking along this road. And we're like, we don't have cattle in that area. So he'll look along that road, and sure enough, there's a daggum GPS tracker walking along that road. And so we know where to go and get that cow. And so he will check it periodically to see if anybody's out of their area. Well, and I say that because we haven't set up our area because we forgot, honestly. So I'm thinking about it. We were kind of in the middle of everything, and we just never ended up doing that. So he checks his tracker to make sure that there's nothing out. And so rather than him wandering, that 40 acres, or that's not even that much, but however much, looking for lost cattle, he can look on the phone and see if there's anything in that area, provided, of course, that the tags are still working and not defective. So I appreciate that. We get notification on our phone. Yeah. And you're supposed to, but again, we never set that up. And I'm realizing as I'm talking about it that we should. That's kind of a really important feature. So it's one of those things that you know you should do, but as life goes on, you've forgotten to do. So we will. So
So what is something that you could recommend to some of the beginning farmer ranchers here, whether they're new or whether they're just trying to kind of upgrade their operations to something different? What are a couple things that you would recommend that they do?
does this have to be related to technology or tags?
Can be anything.
My number one, I can't stress this enough, recommendation to any new livestock producer is relationships. I can't stress this enough. When we moved into the White Mountain Lakes area, the thing that we noticed immediately was the hostile environment we stepped into. And we were like, why are we so hated? Come to find out, for the last 30 years, these people have been bullied and threatened and even endangered by the ranchers who handled our ranch before that. And even some of our surrounding, not all of our surrounding ranchers, but even some of our surrounding ranchers, to say that the energy was hostile is even saying it nicely. Because I'm talking about death threats. I'm talking about scary, scary, scary stuff. And so we have worked harder than anything to create and maintain good relationships, to the point to where, so for example, one of the guys on our ranch, stupidly thought that a barbed wire fence, that he could put a stack of hay on immediately the other side of a barbed wire fence and our cows wouldn't go through it. They went through it and they ate his hay. And so he calls us all mad. Out of our own pocket, we replaced his hay. Now, we didn't have to do that. We could have pulled the whole, this is a fence out area, no. Like, but how would that have gone in the long run? Now, we're smart enough and our parents raised us right to know that people are more important than animals no matter what. And no problem to be solved is more important than a person to have a relationship, a person to make him feel important, a person to make him feel loved. And so when I'm asked that question, and surprisingly I am a lot, like, what's the main thing that you can, main suggestion? I always tell people you need to be the bigger person, because not only, you guys, not only are we just a little family trying to raise our sweet children and a couple of cows, we recognize that this is bigger than us. Like, we recognize that we represent U of A. We recognize that we represent smaller or bigger livestock people. Like, this is bigger than us, and we need to be honorable in our dealings with our neighbors, so that if we sell the ranch, whoever comes in does not have to face that same like scary situation that we were in. That we need to be the ones to pass on a legacy of not just agriculture, but of just the cowboy way. So in case you can't tell, I'm very passionate about that. I'm very, very passionate about that. The second piece of advice that I'm not as passionate about, but it's just very logical, is don't be stupid with your money. Don't go out and buy new everything and new, don't go out and buy new everything, and don't try to keep up with the Joneses, because a lot of the ranchers surrounding you have daddy's money or they're fully paid off or whatever. With us, we started from scratch, and I feel like we're still scratching around trying to make it work, but we have to be very wise with money. And there are so many wonderful government programs that if you're smart enough and on top of it enough, they can be a huge help. So just be really wise and don't try to show off for your neighbors or whatever.
I appreciate that so much, because that is one of the biggest, I know Jocelyn works with and that I work with and a few others work with, and Russ being in economics, agriculture economics teaches and all that is, the $1 million combine is great. The flashy tractor is great. They're showpieces and they have function if you have that environment, but especially in this area, they're not necessary. They're not a requirement to be considered a farmer. A farmer makes $1,000, ranch makes $1,000 per year based on IRS guidelines. It's not on what you have or what you show them at whatever event it needs to be at. It's about the heart. It's about animal welfare. It's about products and feeding our community, feeding the nation, things like that. And so thank you for saying that, because I think that's been one of the hardest points to get across. I get a laundry list of what people are gonna buy when they come up here, but they haven't done any research on wells, they haven't done any research forage value, they haven't done any research on what animals do good here. We have people that lose their farms and ranches left and right every month. And I watch them go down in circles and they're just like, but I have all this stuff. And I was like, but you don't have fence. You don't have this. Financial records. Where's this? And so flashy isn't gonna do anything. What's gonna do it is just, like you said, start at the bottom and build up as you go. And so thank you for saying that, because I don't know how often you guys hear it, but one more farmer ranch that goes out in this area, it just breaks my heart every time. So, and then also Jan with NRCS, meet Larissa.
Hey.
About resource. So,
Oh,
I highly recommend you guys talk later. I think you work with some of my coworkers.
Yes,
Curly,
we
Casey,
work-
or
yes.
Jay.
all of them work very closely with them. Yes. And they are so good to us. Like, we feel like NRCS has, oh my gosh, gone above and beyond, just bent over backwards for us. So time for me to pick my kid up from the bus. But I've already picked her up. It's fine.
My
Yeah, of course.
family out there, and thank you for everything you do. Keep up the good fight. We love seeing it, and please, if you can follow her on social media, it's hard. You vote with $1, right? And we all know that, especially in agriculture. So if you can follow a lot of these farms on social media, it is really helpful, because then it gets put out there more and they get the support. So
Can I just really, really briefly kind of explain our business plan, or not that, but just kind of talk about how we do it and why we have been doing what we're doing? Because I know it's 4:05 and I'm standing between you and the door, but I'm really actually very excited about how everything seems to be working out. So when we first bought the place, we were like, well, we're just going to be the typical ranchers. We're just going to take everything to the auction, and we're just going to do that whole whatever that everybody does. What was interesting was when we got there, we had so many people, especially as we started healing. I'm not even gonna say building the relationship, because our total focus has almost just been healing and establishing new relationships with our people there and in the actual towns of Show Low and Taylor and Snowflake. So when we got there, one of the biggest questions that we kept getting asked was, oh, do you sell direct to consumer? And we were like, no. You guys, after 8, 9, 10 people started asking us, we were like, but we could, because there's obviously a need. And what we were hearing is that the other ranchers in the area, first of all, didn't like people. What? People are so great, but didn't like people, didn't want to deal with people, didn't want to go through all that work, blah, blah, blah. So James was like, girl, you do this. If this is what you want to do. And I was like, yes. So I found myself a good butcher. I figured out how to do everything legally with our cattle inspector, blah, blah, blah. So I did all that. And then I just put it out there hey, I have this steer that we're going to butcher. Would anybody like it? I was sold out for 3 months, you guys. And I was doing 2 cows a month and then 3 cows. And at one time I was doing a cow a week. So that's 4, and I was doing them by quarters. So I was selling a quarter cow. So that's, yeah. So I was selling them by the quarter cow. Oh my gosh. Again, I'm going to back up a little bit. So 4 customers a week. And I was doing 4 cows a month. And I was sold out for 3 months at one time, booked out for 3 months. It was insane. I was insane. It was one of the craziest, most fun experiences that we have ever had. Now we've backed off a little bit. One, because James was like, oh my gosh, stop killing my cows. When I ran out, because we have this running joke where he was like, I keep the cows alive and I kill them. Right. So anyways, so he ran out of steers for me to butcher, and he wouldn't let me butcher his heifers. So I said, do you have any old cows? And he was like, yeah, I'm going to cull these old cows. Guess what I did? I hamburgered them, and I sold, 50 pounds of hamburger. And again, people just loved it. Grass fed. Nobody wanted grain fed. We offered, nobody wanted grain fed. And so we were sold out, boom, just like that. It was such a cool experience being able to meet that need, being able to be out there and just like be that person for people who are stocking up and just the preppers that are prevalent in this area. So that was very cool. So that was one of the things that we did differently. The ear tags is another different thing that we did. And then we started an apparel company, kind of by funny, again, one of those like coincidence things. So I'm going to show you the back of my shirt. Can you see it here? So the back of my shirt says cut nuts and Brandon butts. Okay. And I just made these t-shirts for my family. Everybody likes family themed t-shirts because I'm a nerd. Well, everywhere that I wore them into town, people would ask me where they could buy the shirt. And then again, after the 5th or 6th or 7th person that asked me, I thought, but I could. So I did. I went out on a limb and I had 200 shirts printed with just this on the back. Oh no, just this. I had 2 designs. I had this, and then I had Let's Go Brandon, but it was covered with historic Arizona brands, and it was BRADN, Brandon, like cattle Brandon. So it was clever play on words. And we live in a very rural, like Brandon hating community. They were a huge hit. I went to the Pioneers Day Rodeo in Taylor, and I sold all of those shirts and had orders for like 50 more. And so then James and I were like, we're on to something. Like people don't just do that. So we mulled around this idea for a while, like, how can we do this, whatever. And I was, selling here and there and here and there. How many of you know who the Diesel brothers are? Again, such a God thing, connected with the mastermind behind the Diesel brothers giveaway business plan. And he mentored me on how to do a successful giveaway. And last month we gave away our first giveaway. It was a 4-wheeler, and a girl, actually an ag student from Missouri won it. She bought 1 t-shirt and won a 4-wheeler. And we made money on that giveaway. So the way people entered was they would buy a shirt or 2 or 3 or 7, and that was their entries. $30 a shirt, 30 entries to win a 4-wheeler. This girl, 19 years old from Missouri, she came down, she picked up her 4-wheeler. We made a big to-do on social media, and now we're giving our second giveaway. So I'm in the middle of our second giveaway, set to be given away Valentine's Day. It's a side-by-side. So now it's a $20,000 machine. Okay. So now, yeah, I can't make this crap up, you guys. So now these are my business cards. Yeah, you like that? But seriously, to give out business cards? For real. Wow. Oh, there we go. Oh. So we are, yeah. So anyway, so we're going to be, oh, I'm sorry. So we are going to be giving away this side-by-side to one of our customers in February. And the idea, of course, it's a raffle. You want to sell as many tickets or t-shirts to pay for the machine that we've bought and make enough money to buy our next machine, which one of these days we're going to be giving away trucks and trailers. We're going to be huge, you guys, and we're getting our brand out there, and we're educating people about social media. Oh my gosh, on social media, but we're educating people about agriculture and about raising cattle. And I heard, were you gonna say something? I didn't want to interrupt you. Okay. Yeah, so it's like so exciting, and it feels like the ball is rolling, and we are like blown away by the success. It's intimidating. Don't get me wrong. Like I go home sometimes and I'm like, like, what are you doing? This is so big. But on the other hand, it's not coincidental. It's going to be huge. So if you're looking for funny t-shirts, I'm going to be launching 3 more designs. So I have one that says, I have cut nuts and Brandon butts. I have Let's Go Brandon. I have one that says, y'all are going to love this. Rocky Mountain Oysters, the original sack lunch. We get so much laughter. And then I'm launching one that says bull shirt with a picture of a bull. And then I'm launching one that says smoke brisket, not meth. And then one that says work cows once, and you'll understand why we eat them. So a couple new designs being launched for Christmas. So if you're looking for great Christmas presents, please think of us. I know, shameless pitch, but it would mean the world to us as small business owners and, you know, looking to get that word out. So anyways, I know that you were wanting to wrap up, but I just wanted to put that plug out there because we're really very excited about being different, but hopefully being different in a good way, being good ranchers, but also being good people and just making a difference that way. And it feels good. You know, it feels good. So I just wanted to wrap that up with that. And I'm open for any questions. I mean, I feel like I talk enough anyway. I probably answered your questions in your head. So that's all. Thank you. Yes.
As far as social media, several different platforms, do you guys have like, how often do you feel you have to put something out there to stay kind of in people's face, you know, kind of get eyeballs on your site, or you guys just kind of do it every once in a while when you feel like, I mean, what's your strategy? What's your ideas behind social media?
Super good question. So if it were up to me, I wouldn't have such a social media presence, but the guy mentoring me, he says that is key. He says that builds trust, it builds your brand, and we live in a society, you guys, where people don't buy cheap and people don't buy convenient. They buy for the feeling that it gives them, right? And so people want to buy from small business owners like us because they know that every morning and night I go out and milk my little white goat. I video myself. Can I just say that it's been like social media has been so hard, because even though I'm obviously an extrovert, it has been so hard to put our family out there for everybody to see. And the response has honestly been very positive up till now. I mean, not up to now, but so far is what I mean. So I'm like videoing myself, like going out to milk my goat, but it makes me relatable and people love that stuff. And I just take it for granted, right? So in answer to your question, he says that I need to post at least 3 times a week, which I have so much content, my kid playing with my dog, and of course, all content about my 4-wheeler. Like I took the 4-wheeler down to the corral, or not the 4-wheeler, the side-by-side down to the corral today with my puppy in the seat. And so I just videoed myself with my dog, like flopping in the wind. And that has had, you know, it's been shared a few times because people they love to live almost vicariously through people who are actually living it. So I post a couple of times a week. It's a mixture of just here's what's going on right now and actual advertisement. And the response has been really good. Oh my gosh, I just remembered another thing that we're actually doing that I'm really excited about. So 2 weeks ago, we had our fall cleanup branding. And this was really risky for me, but I posted out on social media and I said, Reese Cattle Company is doing their fall cleanup branding. If you want to come and watch only, we're inviting the public this time. And the response was amazing. So we had several people just say, that's so cool, I'm glad you're doing that. And then I had quite a few people actually message me and ask for the directions. So I gave them directions to my place. We had quite a few people show up and just watch awkwardly on the sidelines. It was great. It was fun. And now they know who we are, and now we know who they are. And it was just more of that bonding. Here's the other cool thing that happened. One of the social media influencers that I work with on Instagram, he lives in Texas. He's a big influencer, and he reached out to me. It was another one of those just not coincidence, just things that happen. And he said, hey, I'm just curious if you have ever invited like the public to your branding. Not like this happened just a few days before I did that. And I said, actually, I just did, or before the branding, actually, I just did. And he said, he lives on he ranches with, I think, his uncle or his granddad or something, who's very doesn't want people at his ranch. And so my influencer, his name is Antonio. He's black. He's a black cowboy from Texas, coolest guy ever, because he actually grew up in the slums and somehow switched to cowboy. And so he has this story of here's where I was in a gang, and his single mom, and I think his uncle and his cousin had been murdered in gang, this and that, and now he's cowboying in Texas. A very cool story. He's one of my influencers, but he reached out and he was like, I have people reaching out to me all the time, asking them if I will teach them how to be a cowboy. And if they can come and experience that for me. And he says, I don't have anywhere to do that. Would you be interested in partnering with me? And I'm like, yes. So we're going to do it in the springtime. So we're going to create packages. We're going to, for people to, if they want to come and actually get in there, get in down and dirty, like with the branding iron, and or people who just want to watch or whatever, but we're actually going to start promoting that in a big way and create packages. He says he already has lines of people who will travel, who will fly from other parts of the country, who come to Little Podunk Shoalo, Arizona, and experience a fall branding or a spring branding with us. You guys, so cool. I know. So I'm actually for real going to end on that, and I'm going to step back and let you guys end because I know that I've taken a lot of your time, and I hope that that's okay and I haven't overplayed my welcome.
You had till 4:15, we were just get,
Oh, for real?
and Snoop is gonna end soon, so.
Okay.
Have to say goodbye to them, but, yeah.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you so much.
How much are you gonna charge?